Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with episode 12 of my Halloween horror movie reviews. And today, for this episode, we are going right into the 70s. One of the most, the era of controversial movies. Movies like A Clockwork Orange, Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Omen, The Exorcist, those horror films. But today's episode is going to be for a banned horror movie. A horror movie that was seen as so gratuitous, shocking, and appalling that it was banned from several countries. It was as basically a rape revenge film. Yes, guys. This movie is going to be for none other than Mir Zarki's I Spit on Your Grave. Ugh, one of the most shocking, disturbing movies of all time, and most grisly. Yeah, because, like I said, this movie was just panned by everyone when it came out. Like, it was considered one of the worst movies of all time when it came out. Roger Ebert hated the movie so much. It appeared on his most hated movies list. And it was quite a controversial movie, and it never saw a wide release because of how graphic it was for a film in the 70s. So it was pretty much dumped right to DVD. And eventually around 2010, it did have a remake that was also very controversial. I think even more controversial and gratuitous than the original movie, and was kind of more graphic on its revenge scenes than the rape scenes. It kind of focused more on the remake, focused more on the revenge. The original focuses more on the rape. And like that movie, it was also barely got a limited release because of how even more violent it was. So it got released unrated along with Hatchet 2 that month. It made $32,000 on that one. And I think it's one of the better remakes out there. That remake even got 2 sequels, which were just not liked by anybody. And I don't even like those 2 sequels at all. And then in 2019, the original 1978 movie finally got a sequel called I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu. Man, that sequel is considered a big embarrassment. Which should never have even existed. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about the original 1978 movie. I will review the remake eventually, but we'll just have to... But not right now. Let's review the original movie first. The one that started this whole thing. So, what is this movie about? Oozing with confidence in the air of a big city girl, the talented short story author Jennifer Hills arrives in Verdon, Connecticut, to take a break from the hustle and bustle of New York City and write her first novel. But there, held up in her secluded riverside cabin, Jennifer is utterly unaware that she has already caught the eye of Violent Johnny and his misogynistic jackals, who are hell-bent on having their way with the unsuspecting visitor. And before long, poor Jennifer is sexually assaulted over and over again and left for dead. But Jennifer is hard not to crack, and her fierce will to survive will pave the way for a relentless mission of vengeance. Now no one is safe. Who can stop Jennifer from tasting the ambrosial nectar of revenge? Yeah, that's the plot of the movie. Pretty notoriously graphic. One of the most graphic movies ever made. But some people think this is the most disgusting picture ever. The rapes are horrendous and they go on forever, like 25 whole minutes. Yeah, this probably has one of the most longest rape scenes along with Irreversible of 25 minutes. But this never really bothered me. I think the remake's a lot worse, personally. I was always aware that I was watching a movie and the rapes were very obviously being staged. To make it worse, the four guys cannot act. It was impossible to take this seriously. Also, this movie has a lousy script, huge gaps in logic. She never goes to the police, and the director who also wrote this movie, seems way too fond of badly focused shots from far away. On the plus side, Camilla Keaton was great as Jennifer Hills. She gives this picture a much better performance than it deserved. Also, it's great to see the guys get what's coming to them. They're all sick, psychotic monsters and deserve everything that happens to them. Okay, they're not. To be fair, the guys aren't nearly as bad as the ones in the remake. Like, the remake guys are much worse. Like, in this version, they're still nasty people, but they're nasty people that kind of still live among society. In the in the remake, they're just straight up nasty, disturbed people that don't fit in with society at all. The remake guys are people that deserve to be locked up in an asylum, really. However, the rape scenes are unpleasant and very disturbing. That is in their favor. Conversely, they are dwelt upon what sometimes seems to be unnecessary enthusiasm. Yes, she is brutalized, but then she is brutalized and brutalized and brutalized over and over and over again. Then the revenge sequences show the same approach. Distressingly, though understandably savage, they are again displayed with what appears to be glee. Both cases, the rape and the revenge, the points could have been made more quickly and with less gloating enthusiasm over the detail, but however, this movie, like, the revenge scenes aren't really that graphic. This version, the rape scenes are the more graphic scenes. In the remake, the revenge scenes are the more graphic scenes. Because the remake kind of focuses more on the soft torture porn, really. This movie's also kind of torture porn with the rape scenes, but the remake does it a little more. But while production is satisfactory, the film doesn't look cheap. The acting, with the exception of Camilla Keaton's victim, like I've said, is dreadful. Apart from a willingness to display their pride, as the male cast members are uniformly bad. Only good cast member of this movie is Camilla Keaton. They give the impression when the casting director approached a local amateur dramatic society and couldn't get anyone from them, so had to drop the standard requiredly. And like I said, the coolest thing about this flick is the revenge and the way she kills those guys. The part everybody waits just to see how horrific she can go. Again, the realism is skipped with making of Jennifer coming back to those guys, totally hot, seducing them and killing them. What kind of stupid thing was that? You can leave those bad scenes in the project, add something here and there, and even so this movie would flop. Then again, this movie was given a limited release. If this movie did get a wide release, it would flop. Its lack of purpose, meaning, intelligence, things that can make a good film being good. I mean, like, girl gets brutally raped, then she goes on a rampage against the ones who did it, and that's it. That's literally the movie. If you want to take almost like 2 hours of, like, if you want to almost take 2 hours of someone's life, at least have the decency of giving someone in return except just some weak gore and lousy violence. Like, as much as I enjoy the Saw movies, I'm not really a big fan of gore. Oh wait, not gore. I mean torture. Not really too much of a torture person. Like, there are some torture movies I can stomach, but just seeing, like, there's a specific kind of torture that I don't like seeing, and that's rape. Like, I'm not a big fan of rape scenes, and specifically ones in Rob Zombie movies that just get done to death. Since, yeah, then again, Rob Zombie just loves putting rape scenes in every single movie. Like, most of the time, rape scenes are just put in as shock value, and that's about it. Like, there's times when a rape scene's done horrifically right and done with an actual reason, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Irreversible, and films that actually don't just throw it in for shock value just to shock viewers. Like, a lot of horror films just put in certain rape scenes just so they can shock the viewer, and it's really annoying. But anyway, like, I've seen many films do this kind of plot way better. Like, in its transitions between one scene to another, this movie is dreadfully slow that it puts you to sleep in minutes. As a horror, it's half scary. As a comedy, it gets some laughable moments with the virgin guy. As a drama, it's somewhat depressive but completely irrelevant. So yeah, I guess if you are into fans of rape horror, then you'll probably enjoy this movie. But personally, I'm not too big of a fan of this version. It's just not my thing. I mean, I prefer the remake a lot better than this, personally. I think when I reviewed the remake will be a little more positive review. But this one I'm just not a big fan of. It didn't really shock me that much. I didn't really think it was that gratuitous like many people make it out to be. Like, I really wish they could have did this a little better, but I think I've seen some more nastier things. Like, this is not one of the most nasty films ever. But I guess if you're a fan of this stuff, and I guess you should give it a watch, but it might be a little hard to find anywhere. I mean, I had to go, like, to this place called, this one, like, video store that sells, like, rare stuff, and this is how I managed to even find it. And add this film to my collection. The remake I found in the Walmart bargain bin in 2019, so. But anyway, here's how I'm going to rank I Spit on Your Grave. I am going to give I Spit on Your Grave a 5 out of 10. Okay, and that's it for I Spit on Your Grave. So, what's going to be the next review? Well, the next review is going to be for a certain series I started back on the first week of this season, and it's for the third and final and what is hopefully the final installment of it. I reviewed its first 2 movies in the first week. Yes. Next week is Hostel Part 3. And even that review is not really going to be that positive, because that's probably the one I don't like. I mean, I kind of enjoy the first 2 movies, well, second one I enjoy more, and I'm going to get a lot of shit for saying that I like Part 2, but I don't care. It's my opinion. Yeah, Hostel Part 3 is next. I mean, I gotta complete the Hostel series. But that's the one that basically moves to the US instead of Europe. But until then, that'll be it for this episode. Thank y'all for watching. And if you like this and want to see more, then don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.